Wow. Just wow. You are really weird and gross.
I have made it no secret on this channel that I have a fascination with the mysterious, bizarre, surreal, and ridiculous. This video is going to display no difference. This video is on Juice Galaxy. I really think there is no proper way to introduce this game other than saying it is a ridiculous and bizarre mess of a game, and I love it. This is also your last warning. This game is not very friendly to photosensitive viewers with a lot of flashing lights, strobes, and glitching textures. So if you're photosensitive at all, watch another video. Just trust me on this one. Like, don't even try. And with that last warning out of the way, let's get in. This game is made by Fishlica on Steam and itch.io. The game was released in March 2020 on itch.io and November 2023 on Steam. On the developer's itch page, we can also see a game that predates Juice Galaxy that has similar physics and enemies that would end up being used in Juice World, or what is now known as Juice Galaxy. It's hard to tell if the name was after the Juice World situation, or because the game expanded so far. This game is an open world dream full of pre-generated environments that still feel full of character. And characters. But before that, let's look at the title screen. I'm convinced this is what inspired Cyberpunk 2077's customization system, considering how much you can change about your character. And you really don't have a limit. You can even make your own texture file to put on the player character. Name them whatever you want, and change all of their proportions. The developer recommends you make the character actually walkable, but it's totally optional, you won't need him anyway. After creating this abomination of a character, we can finally get into this weird world of Juice Galaxy. Our starting tutorial sets us in a classroom, empty desks with a teacher at the front. Our teacher is Mrs. Slithers, who greets us, but also notices that she doesn't know exactly what we are. She asks us questions like, what is Juice, and is there anything better than lifelong servitude to the Juice Queen? If you answer the questions right, you get recess. Get them wrong, and you get a laser to the face, killing you almost instantly. But assuming you lived, or just didn't answer the questions, you can fly out to the window into the yard. There you can find this guy, Ingot. Ingot is a big guy and tells you how there's a weapon on the top of the school and you can get up there by flying. To fly, you just need to hold spacebar, and it's one of the most crucial mechanics in the game. Also the most fun. Once you grab the giant mace, you can go back down and Ingot will be super excited that you have a weapon. Ingot allows you to test it on him by smacking the shit out of him and getting a bunch of this liquid out of him. That's the juice. You can also pretty much kill him. For the moment at least. There's also boxes around that you can break for more juice to open this. This is a juice gate, where you can fill it with, well, juice. Once you fork over the 100 juice it requires, we can fall through space and see the title screen wave by. This sequence is so pretty, and the area before was so bright and colorful. And let's say striking to the eyes. But now we've dropped into a graveyard with some colorful characters, including Ingot, and some items like a rune sword, a baseball bat with another mace. This area also gives us info from some NPCs like Mr. Fox and the sign about a man named Hudson who is a blacksmith. In this game there's not many quests, but the first marks us to go find this blacksmith. On the way we find this buff giant. This behemoth over the road is a buff giant who astrally projects himself into his own mouth to listen to music because he keeps hearing annoying singing. This singing comes from a flower in his eye. We can either feed it juice or tell it that its singing sucks. I just want to say that this thing's singing does suck. So I decided to be honest. And kill it. You can also find the blacksmith who has a giant arm and walks around this mushroom. Turns out that his hand got stung, so his hand blew up to be huge. So what should we do in this scenario? Well, we should kill the wasp that did it. But I have neglected to mention a few mechanics, one of which I'll save for that fight. So this game kinda has a leveling system using juice. You have multiple statistics like maximum energy or health regen, flight, arm power, damage, movement speed, and your jump. These statistics usually just mess with your physics and allow you to fly better, of which flying is probably the best way to get around in this game. Another thing is also guns. Guns take a lot of energy to fire a lot of bullets, or beanbags, or pineapples. There's quite a few options. The two main weapons are the melee or ranged-like guns. However, there are some things like grimoires, juice bottles, or the secret item. These give you different ways of dealing with your enemies, but regarding your stats, you need to buy them with juice that you get from defeating enemies, of which they are pretty much everywhere. Things from whatever these eyes are to this stupid flower from earlier, of which the flowers that sing give you so much juice, similar to bosses actually. Now, talking about bosses, there's a really easy one to fight at the beginning, being the Creator. He's a cocky, kind of annoying, but relatively easy boss, so long as you have decent speed and some health that you can beat him with a pineapple gun. Oh, I forgot. You're going to want to find this house with the old guy because it has one of the best early game weapons, the pineapple gun. No coconut gun, unfortunately, because the Creator's afraid that we'll just become invincible like Donkey Kong. The Creator fears what we would do with so much power. However, the next battle was not as easy. Next, I decided to fight the Wasp Queen. This was a very difficult thing to do at such a low level. Jumping into the wasp nest, to no one's surprise, leads to wasps flying in to attack me, and there was quite a few. This was good for juice grinding, but took quite a bit. However, I do feel like it helped me when I jumped in. What didn't help me, though, was that I still died like 4 times, at least. This is where the last mechanic comes in. Vehicular manslaughter. With the all-new Ford F-150, you can drive into the face of a stupid wasp, and speaking of the Wasp Queen, her nest castle looks so cool. But back to the car. This is actually how I killed the thing, and I just have to say, the car is so fun! It feels so floaty to control and it picks up speed fast. It's the second best mode of transportation. Flying's still probably number 1. But driving in this game is so damn cool. I think I could just fall asleep to ASMR of the car driving and just hitting enemies at random intervals. But it adds another way you can explore this incredibly crafted world. There's so much to explore, like different structures, enemies, and biomes. I'd also like to say 2 things about the footage. While I was recording this video, literally before I was about to stop recording, I found out that the game got an update while I was playing, which added this cool area. This bubble metropolis, which is kind of integral to the story now because of the Juice Queen taking it over. Apparently she makes it so that the bubble people have to keep making bubbles for her and then she won't kill them. The area is just filled with personality from top to bottom and looks so good. But now for the other bad news. I lost quite a bit of my original footage of the Wasp and Creator boss fights, so I actually needed to recreate them. As well as another very important moment that only happens once in a playthrough, I believe. Occasionally, there's a chance of a giant bat, or juice vampire, who may attack you. This is actually an amazing moment in the game. When it arrives, it'll attack you and try to suck your blood until you're really low health. This still sounds bad, but once he finishes biting you and leaves to hibernate, you get a new skill. Anytime you kill an enemy, and I mean any enemy, you can juice the enemies. You literally become a juice vampire, and it gives you so much extra juice when you kill literally anything. The bosses and flowers are the best since they give you the most, but it's really useful when grinding for levels. The next boss I faced was Sergeant Sucker Punch, who looks like an Oompa Loompa who barely survived Nam, then took heroin for about 43 years. A lot of other videos I saw found this guy to be a tad bit of a harder boss, but he was honestly one of the easiest in my opinion. So long as you move around as much as he does, he just can't hit you. But the area to find him is also super annoying, since it's a really long tunnel that's kind of hard to navigate because of how everything looks. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention how you get to this guy. You need to go back to the cabin, which was where you fought the Creator in the basement, and you need to flush yourself down the toilet to find his fighting chamber. It was actually kind of fun to fight in this area, but a little bit of a nightmare to navigate. This game is a barely coherent, beautiful acid trip, and I will tell its story just as randomly. So yeah, after beating up Sergeant Sucker Punch, you can get the plunger to fight the next boss. The next boss is this thing, the Clog. The Clog is a giant, well, clog that blocks your path. The Clog is actually relatively easy to cheese, but fighting him in an honest way is actually harder to do. As in, while fighting him normally, he kept hitting me into spots where he couldn't hit me. During our fight, I was trying to fight it honestly because I wanted a challenge, but I literally phased through him because of one of his hits, which just kind of insta-killed him. But after defeating the Clog, the next character you see is... odd. But I'll let him give his own introduction.
Oh, you have no idea what you've just unleashed. Finally, after all this time. Swirly D has risen once more. Really lightning.
Yeah, that was weird. But he leaves us nearly dead. Yet he decides that he should probably leave to Swirly the other inhabitants of this world. It's kind of funny how after you leave, you can talk to other NPCs who will tell you how they either got swirlied or almost got swirlied by Swirly D. Poor Ingot got the worst of it too, it seems, from how he described it. But we can't really fight Swirly D. As I said earlier, this game is constantly getting updates, so some features and characters mentioned we may not see for quite a while. But now we should look for another boss. And I think we're gonna look to this guy, the toe thing, Tony. He's kind of a mini-boss who is absolutely awful to fight against if you try to use flight to constantly get away from him. I don't know if this is because I'm an idiot, because, I am, or some physics thing, but whenever you're flying and Tony stomps on you, you go super far. It was what caused most of my deaths with him. But he's also a very talkative enemy, but still really fun to fight in my opinion. His dialogue is funny and his design looks like it came from an early Mucinex commercial. He just looks funny in my opinion. But his stomps were a challenge for a bit. You just need to beat him before he kills you. The next boss we can face is Mrs. Slithers. To get to her, you need to have enough flight and energy levels. You know, to be able to go back into space to fight her. When you get there, she's a tough fight and very maneuverable. Her sword is the Dragon Slayer, which is actually a really good weapon once you kill her. But similar to bosses like the Creator and Wasp Queen, she can summon other entities to help fight her, namely skeletons, which, honestly, I barely noticed since it's so easy. But as interesting of a boss as she was, she's only a stepping stone. A stepping stone to a much greater threat. Now, I want to talk about one of the hardest bosses in the entire game. After defeating Mrs. Slithers and all those guys, you can go back to the cabin. You can also find a future version of yourself who seems dead, which is oddly uncomfortable and sinister. Didn't stop me from drinking the rest of the juice out of him, though. Dear God, this games make me phrase things in such a weird way. But when you fall asleep in the bed, you can effectively find yourself in the nightmare dimension. The music and environment are so different compared to the normal game, taking a darker tone in aspects like color and tone in general. We can find a kid, Mr. Fox, in the cabin, who asks if you can find all of his letters that got scattered around outside. While he was writing, he got scared and ran inside, leading to the papers going to different spots, like the porch or the giant ominous spikes outside. And outside, once it sees you, is this terrifying thing. This is the Dream Eater, who is even immune to the car. Trust me, I tried. It was the one boss it wasn't efficient on. This boss has a huge health pool and really strong attacks. At nearly maxed full stats, he could kill me in a few hits. I need to use a mixture of reckless driving, unconventional firearms, and swords to beat this thing. He also made such creepy noises. Just one ultimately terrifying monster. I'm gonna be honest, it took quite a few tries to kill this horror, but it felt good to finish off. One thing I wanted to do was actually read the notes from Mr. Fox's letters, but the problem is that some are upside down or just the physics and position make it hard to get a good look. Luckily, the fan wiki actually has it transcribed, so I'll read the pages in order. Written apology by little Mr. Fox. I'm sorry I did it. I've been really stressed out at school because I don't want to do the reading, but you guys make me do it anyway, and I hate it because it sucks. I don't want to read. old boring stories about dumb farm animals and their stupid politics. I don't care about social commentary or implications. Like, I just want to chill, and you guys are always telling me to read when I could be vibing. You give me this big list of stuff to do every day like it's not enough that I live in class and I don't eat much, and don't get to see my family. And you laser my butt if I say the wrong stuff. Like, am I lasering you when you call me Mr. Dog? Nah, I don't laser people. Anyways, sorry I opened the door and sorry I left. Love, Little Mr. Fox. So it looks like Little Mr. Fox left the same juice school after they tried to brainwash him with more info regarding the Juice Queen. I think a big theme of this game is being able to relax and not being forced to work, since when you tell Mrs. Slithers in the beginning that you just want to chill, she lasers you. If not a theme of subtlety, maybe just some joke by the creator. There's still so much around this game after the main bosses though. There are so many guns and melee items and even a bunch of other things like the types of grimoires that give you abilities like shifting gravity or summoning pet rocks. There's even a wand that shoots bubbles and just so much to this game. There's also this ball potion thing. They pretty much either give you boosts to stats or shift the color of your objects. You can also get things like helmets or masks that can add stats. That's why in a lot of the footage you'll see me wearing the anvil. I swear it was the best helmet I had. The inventory management system itself is also just ridiculous. The sword Mrs. Slithers gives you is bigger than the car. How was I lifting that thing? Like, how is a Ford truck lighter than a snake sword? It's just so weird and random, and I loved it. Also, one thing I was a bit upset about, I watched Easy Speezy's video on the game first, where there was a speedrun strat to giving weapons to the blacksmith to get a bunch of juice early on, but oh well. The game changes a lot, so don't expect this video to be 100% accurate, like a year from now. I genuinely can't wait for the game to be completely done though, if it ever does. The game has so much personality, color, and just amazing gimmicks and character design. The environment is so fun to explore with the giant statues and characters and trees and other random structures. I seriously recommend this game to anyone who's curious. It's free and on Steam, and it's great when there's new updates. I also recommend the soundtrack, as it's also really nice. The sweet and surreal beats that play during all the boss fights and other moments is great. Just exploring the environment to these tracks is really soothing. Regardless, it's an insane game that you should check out. Do it. But that's all I really have to say about this one. If this game ever gets updates, I might make an addendum. Well, if it changes radically. Might even just add on to this script for that, but oh well. The game will be linked below if you're curious. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. It's been me, Mush. I'll see you later. Comments, criticism, and suggestions are always welcome. Arrivederci.